we could fly.
Welcome to this new season of the Have a Cup of Jahani podcast. So I want to title this new season that I'm embarking on with I'm Growing. So this is going to be the season of growth. And that's what I'm going to share with you throughout the season. So I thank you for coming over here and sitting with me. And I hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone. So on this episode, we are going to continue on the conversation of kind of like my dual careers, being in the Army and being a creative person, and kind of how the Army gave me some things to make the creative pursuits happen. Okay. So are you ready? And you don't have to be part of the Army world or adjacent to it to understand this. I try to keep things as general as possible for, large dissemination of information and understanding. So are you ready? I know you are. Let's get it. All right, everyone. So from my conversations on the interviews that I did with like 18 radio stations last week, or no, once this episode airs, it'll be like last month. I know that there's a certain mindset that the military lifestyle and the soldier as well is it's a rigid lifestyle, a rigid person. And I would say that is a myth. I think that, as always, right, Hollywood movies and media really portrays a one-sided thing. And just like with everything in life, they are rigid people in both the military and outside of it. I don't think that's something that is just a military thing that is exclusive to the military lifestyle. But I think people sometimes confuse discipline with rigidity. And this is me in this episode trying to like bust that myth to help you understand it a little better through storytelling by telling you how I use that. So when I enlisted in the Army, right, I did it because I felt very constricted where I was at. I knew that there were certain things that I was not allowed to do because I come from a traditional family that still had, and to this day, some of it is true, believes in certain traditional roles, especially about women. And I couldn't get away. I couldn't even ask that question because the answer would be no, regardless. No, I can't go away for college. No, I can't go and pursue my journalism degree. You should be a nurse instead. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. No. So when I saw the recruiter, I saw him as my ticket out. I saw him as my ticket out to get away from that restrictive environment that I was in and that I would not have been able to get out of unless I enlisted. And I also saw it as my ticket to get to a place where I can learn those things that I needed to learn to be an adult, things that I hadn't been able to learn in my family group within my community, right? I knew that there was some things missing. I knew that I didn't have confidence in certain aspects of my life where I should have had confidence to thrive outside of the family unit. I knew that I didn't have a discipline. And that is something that I knew I needed. I'm not, how can I say this? I'm not unfamiliar with the military lifestyle. I was raised by my grandmother, and my grandmother married a soldier. My grandpa was a soldier in the Dominican Republic, and all my uncles served. So I saw, from an outsider looking in, I saw that, right? I saw how there were certain things that they did. There were certain things that they had to do. I, in turn, as well, became a morning person. I don't know if I was a morning person genetic wise, but I know environmental wise, I was turned into a morning person just because of that. Our schedules always started at dark 30. Even before the sun rose in the Dominican Republic, I was up because I had certain chores. There were certain things that I had to accomplish before I even went to school. So in a sense, I had that backbone kind of, right, going for me as a smaller human being. And I knew that I needed to respect my elders. That was big where I came from. So I had that going for me as well. And those things translated well into the military, right? But once again, I was still a very bit impetuous. And that's not bad per se, right? Because most teenagers are, and I still try to push buttons, most teenagers do. I had very little discipline and willpower. If I just really acted by the seat of my pants. If something came to my mind and I wanted to do it, I did it. But I had no goals. I had no semblance of a journey, of a trajectory that I think it's important for kids to have, especially kids in high school. They should be able to see themselves in this journey of where they will embark later on. And that doesn't mean that it needs to be this detailed outline. Like I know some kids are like that. They have like 5-year goals and things like that. That's great. But I know that some kids are not like that. I wouldn't have been like that as a kid. I really didn't even know what I was going to do the next day, to be honest with you. And that's part of the reason why I joined, because I needed to know those things, not as detailed, right? Because it's not in me to be that prescriptive. I'm more of a creative person when it comes to that. I like to have the freedom to choose and to change and to modify a little bit. But I know I needed some sort of journey, and that would have come through discipline. And I didn't have that growing up. Once I left the Dominican Republic and I went to live first with my dad and then with my mom, the rule was that there was no rules, right? With my mom particularly. It was like at the age of 10, she figured we had it all figured out already and that there was no parenting that was needed. Therefore, there was no involvement when it comes to that. So it was mostly my sister that kind of raised me from that point forward. And I love her for this. And I am so sorry because I think in a way, because of that, she grew up faster than she needed to grow up. But I love that in a way she raised me and she would push me to do the things that I needed to do. She was kind of like that parent for me. And I hated her for it at times. But I'm glad she was there and she made me do those things. She helped me to do my hair. She helped me to understand how to do my hair. She helped me to get up on time to go to school. She helped me to bring my report card in, She helped me to get on the right bus, all these things. She did that for me. So when I knew that it was time for me to step outside, and I knew that I would not have my sister there because she had started her own life already. And I definitely didn't want to be around my mom. I knew that the Army was the place where I needed to go. And so I picked that. And then I was also trying to run away from a boyfriend that cheated on me and tried to ghost me, and then came back. And then I accepted him because once again, I didn't have any confidence. So I ended up joining the Army and ghosting him back. Oh, God. Yeah, right? A telenovela, full-fledged, real-life telenovela, okay? So there you go. You have my whole life story now.
We'll be right back.
Are you ready to embark on a captivating journey of resilience and revelation? Get ready to immerse yourself in the extraordinary world of Isla Delgado, a 9-year-old girl who has experienced more than her fair share of trauma. Isla's life takes a dramatic turn when she's forced to live with her dad and his new wife for 6 months. Her anxiety intensifies as she becomes convinced that her stepmom is an evil witch. But Isla is determined to protect herself and expose her stepmom's true nature. As the gripping story unfolds, Isla discovers that things aren't always as they seem. Join her on a transformative journey of self-discovery, where she learns that even the most traumatic experiences can be triumphantly overcome with the power of love and understanding. People are saying, while the alarming trend of attempting to ban books continues in the United States, this book is a fantastic reminder of the power that books have. A child will read this story and feel seen, heard, and hopefully feel some peace. For children of the appropriate age, this book provides the opportunity for a wonderful exercise in empathy. The message of the story is truly something a lot of children out there and even some adults might need to hear. Mrs. Franchi's Evil Ring and the 6 Months That Changed Everything is a heartwarming tale that explores the profound theme of family, trust, and the power of compassion. This inspiring story will leave listeners of all ages feeling uplifted and inspired. Don't miss out on this middle grade read and be prepared to be captivated by a story that will touch your heart and ignite your imagination. Mrs. Franchi's Evil Ring is available everywhere books are sold. Saying that, right? I'm still me, even with everything that I learned. So I'm saying all of this because I needed the army. I needed it. And I realized, thankfully, I realized in my complete immaturity at that time that I needed this place. I needed this landing place to nourish me, to help me become an adult, a productive adult at that. So that way I can embark at life and lifing and doing everything to be successful there, right? And that's exactly what I did. So I tell soldiers, and I will tell you this as well, the army, just like any corporation, anything in life, is a give or take, right? And I explain that to soldiers that are grumpy about the whole thing, right? I always explain to them, I was like, you joined, right? It was voluntary. No one forced you to join. This is a voluntary thing. You join, now try to find a way to make the best of it. Because there are some great things in here that soldiers can do to learn and to become better. And I always push them to focus on that because a lot of the times we want to be grumpy about getting up early. Oh, we got to get up at 6 or 5:30. Oh, we got to go to PT. We got to work out. Oh, that is horrible. Oh, we got to do formations at night. Oh my God, that is horrible. But everything in life has its requirements, right? It's not like you have this massive amount of money where you can just chill and do your creative pursuits or say fuck it and do whatever you want, and not have any responsibilities. Any job that you go into will have certain responsibilities, will have certain hit times that you have to make, will have a certain schedule, meetings and things of that nature, will have certain aspects of the job that you may not like. But then again, we do that for a reason. And that's what I'm here to say is that I have pushed myself to find the reason, right? The reason why I joined, which was to get better. And that's what I'm doing. And every day I push myself to be better. And then I strive to look at the positive in things. And I do that by focusing on the things that I'm getting out of the army. There's so many benefits here. Even to this day, I'm still finding new things that are beneficial for me, either free or low cost, that can help me or my family, just because I'm part of this great organization. This is not meant to be a recruiting or anything like that. I'll be a horrible recruiter, like I was telling somebody, because I just tell it like it is. And I think I've been very fortunate just because of the way that I grew up. I've always been a morning person. And once again, I don't know if that's genetics or that's because my grandma just raised my sister and I to get up so early ever since she was raising us, since I can remember, I think since I was like 9 months old or something like that. So yeah, so I've always been a morning person. My sister and I, when she comes visit me, I'm down at like 4:30, or sometimes she's down at 4:30. And we go back and forth. Which one is down at 4:30, and the other one will be there at 5 or 5:30. And one will start the coffee, and then the other one will follow. So we have maintained that schedule. So it really doesn't bother me to get up that early and then to go do PT, physical fitness. That is not discipline on my part. That is more habit on my part. I find that the discipline part more like the knot comes from what the Army taught me, which is to push myself to be the very best. This is where I find that the Army has disciplined me to do that. Because growing up, coming up in the Army through the ranks, I had leaders that have pushed me, that have called me out of my bullshit, on my mediocre output and work, and have pushed me to make that better. So when I look at discipline, I look at those things that force me, right? Those things that I'm constantly either forcing myself or somebody else is forcing me to do. And it's not something like a habit, right? That comes naturally to me. So the discipline part, I think, when it comes from the Army, for me, has come from that push that others have given me, and that I in turn are now giving to myself to do the very best that I can. Understanding that the very best is going to be different from day to day, right? Some days my very best may be like super out there, other days perhaps not. But just that's the one key takeaway when it comes to my discipline that I have kept with me. And that is like anything that has my name, or has my battalion or any groups that I'm involved in, I want it to be the very best that it can be. And whether that is solely coming from me singularly, which is usually my writing or creative projects, or whether that is as a team when it comes to the projects that I do in my organization. I strive that discipline, that ruggedness, that tenacity that the Army inculcated in me growing up in the ranks. And that is something right there that has helped me to stay on track with everything else. And that's what I mean when I push soldiers to look at what are you getting from the Army? Because a lot of the times we complain about what we're giving to the Army. And then when we continue to focus on that, then we're looking at it as a subtraction, as the Army's taking away this, it's taking away that, it's taking away that, which I'm not saying it's wrong. It's right. We give a lot to this organization, but we also taking from the organization. So I think it's short-sighted and bad for our mental health as well when we choose to look at this equation just as a subtraction, not as a subtraction in addition. And that's what I mean when I say, what are you taking from the Army? Because we are giving, right? But we also taking. And when I ask that, I use that as an example, right? I have taken skills from the Army. I have taken education from the Army. I have taken experience from the Army. I have taken financial prosperity from the Army that have made me into the person that I am right now, and that have really helped me to evolve to a person that can tackle really a lot of things. In the Army, I became a master resiliency trainer, and I actually trained that for quite a few months back to back. That's all that I did. And guess what? That was one of those details that you get told to do that takes you out of your specialty, and they put you somewhere else. And you're like, you're going to do this job now for like 7 months. And I was supposed to do it for a whole year, but I had to come out early because I had another mission to do. But you see what I'm saying? I could have easily looked at that as, oh shit, the Army's taking away from me, is taking me out from my organization and putting me now to do something that I don't know nothing about. But guess what? I opened myself up to the idea. I learned something from it, and I got so good at it that I started implementing it on myself. So now I have these skills that I am constantly using to better my mental health, and to be able to cope during tough times, and to be able to overcome tough times. And at the very least, to be able to assess when I need professional help, like a therapist, when it is too much for me to handle, and I just need to open myself up to professional help. And I am telling you, these are the things that I have taken and that have paid dividends when it comes to me and my life. But we have so many people that choose not to look at this as a addition and subtraction and only look at it as a subtraction. And like I said before, I think this is a short-sighted way of thinking, and it's a very counterproductive way of thinking because it could really derail someone's joy, happiness, and peace by creating a certain mindset that detracts you from seeing the positive aspects in one's life. And I am very wary when I see that in soldiers. And I try to go in there and change their perspective. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people really have to hit not rock bottom per se, but really hit those hard obstacles before they see things for themselves. And sometimes it saddens me when that is the case, because I really like you've heard me before, right? I think I can do everything. I think I'm limitless. So when I try to help somebody out, I think that I can really fix them. And I don't take into consideration how that help is dependent upon the other person accepting it. So that's why sometimes I get very sad when it doesn't turn out the way that I envision it. And I get kind of disappointed. But eventually I bounce back. But yeah, when it comes to discipline and rigidity, I don't see discipline as being rigid. That's one. And I see discipline as those tough choices that I make myself do time and time again until they become a habit. And I see it as something that is beneficial, right? So I'm disciplined enough to tackle my goals. I'm disciplined enough to finish my goals. I am disciplined enough to go work out on my own on top of the units PT plan. Why? Because those things are beneficial for me. I have found that if I tag intrinsic values to my goals, that I am more apt to complete them, to finish them, to see them through. So I've used that bit of knowledge to kind of get after the things that I want to get after. So when it comes to discipline, for me, in both my army and my creative life, I have found it to be super beneficial and super helpful, because guess what? It is discipline that keeps me on my manuscript till I finish it. It is that. It is simply that. Even when I don't want to, even when I'm like, oh God, I don't know what I'm going to write or blah, blah, blah. I sit down butt to chair and I do it, you know? And eventually the creativity part of my brain turns on even when I don't feel like doing it, but I get on that chair because I'm disciplined first, right? And then the creativity is kind of like a light turns on and the creativity goes, ding, okay, I'm on, and then it's kind of like the discipline portion of my brain turns off because now I no longer need it. I'm not making myself stay on this chair. The creativity part has turned on and now I'm in the chair because I want to, so it's kind of like this tricky thing that I do, but I wouldn't have grown that discipline if it wasn't because of that fateful day when that recruiter came to see me and I said yes. And my mom said yes because I was 16, so she had to say yes. And that had to happen, right? But another thing that had to happen was that I had to be open to becoming better, to take those things that are beneficial to me, take that and let that nourish me, and while also rejecting those toxic things that are part of the Army culture as well. So I had to reject that, take that out, and maintain what's good. And I think that's the tricky part, right? And not just in the Army, in any organization, you're going to find that there are certain aspects of the organization's culture or of certain people that are counterproductive to growth. And it's up to us to reject that, tune it out, have a voice against it, right? Because there's usually systems in place for that to stop, or push comes to shove, right? To get out of there for, for your own mental health, for your own benefit. So I've been able to do that. And I think the Army has helped me because you don't stay in one organization for the rest of your life. You move about quite a lot. That's part of the Army lifestyle too, is that moving is constant. Moving is the one thing that will happen. You're just going to move. And that has been a blessing. It has been a curse as well, but I choose to focus on how it's beneficial to me. And it has taught me a lot of things too. I can pack really well now. So there you go. So I got those skills because of that. But yeah, when it comes to the discipline that I learned, I do think that it is a blessing for me. It hasn't taken away from my creativity. If anything, it has helped me to be more creative, and it has definitely helped me to accomplish my creative goals. God, if I wouldn't have had it, I don't think I would have written and published what I've done thus far. So I guess I got to thank the Army for that. Okay, thank you. All right. Well, if y'all enjoyed this episode, come back for more new episodes every Wednesday. And as always, I hope you learned something from this. Once again, I am not here to recruit you. This is not a recruiting episode. I'm just sharing a piece of experience, what I've lived through. Okay. And once again, I'm not speaking for the Army here. I am speaking just from my experience. I am speaking for myself, Joannie. And if you enjoy it, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, leave a rating, and I will see you on the next episode, which is new episodes every Wednesday. See you then. Bye.
Oh, we could fly.
Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the show. See you on the next episode. Bye.
Oh, we could fly.